All right, let's talk about one of the biggest breakthroughs in making AI, actually useful for you. It's called Retrieval-Augmented Generation. Now, you'll probably just hear it called RAG, and trust me, it's the key to unlocking an AI's real power for your specific needs. So let's get right into it.
You've probably felt this, right? It's super frustrating. You've got this amazingly powerful general purpose AI. It feels like it knows everything, but then you ask it a simple question about an internal company policy or, I don't know, a specific product you sell, and crickets. You get nothing useful. So what gives? Why can't it answer something so simple?
Well, the problem really boils down to two big things. First, these foundation models, they're trained on a huge but totally static pile of data. They have a knowledge cutoff date, meaning they're basically living in the past. They're completely blind to anything new. But here's the bigger deal. They have absolutely zero access to your company's private internal data. It's like they're standing outside your building, unable to see in.
So the big question is, how do we fix this? How can we give these incredibly powerful models the specific up-to-the-minute information they're missing? Well, the answer is RAG, and it's a really elegant solution for bridging that massive knowledge gap.
So what is RAG really? At its core, it's a clever technique that pairs a standard foundation model with your own external private knowledge source. I think the best way to picture it is like giving the AI an open book test. And the book in this case, it's your company's entire library of documents, manuals, databases, all your stuff. Okay, so that's the big idea. But how does this actually work in practice? Let's pop the hood and take a look at the RAG process itself.
Okay, check this out. This really puts the difference in perspective. On the one hand, you've got your standard model. It's totally stuck with its pre-trained, often outdated public data. It can't see your private docs, period. But then, on the other hand, you have a RAG-enabled model, and it is a complete game changer. It takes its general knowledge and fuses it with your specific data. All of a sudden, it has access to current, private, super relevant info.
And this leads us to the absolute heart of any RAG system, the knowledge base. Now, this is just a fancy term for a curated collection of all the information you want your AI to know. Seriously, think of it as the model's external memory or its own personal cheat sheet packed with your company's unique expertise.
And here's how it all comes together in a really simple three-step process. First, when you ask a question, the system goes and retrieves the most relevant little pieces of info from your knowledge base. Next, it augments your original question by literally stuffing that new context right into the prompt. And finally, it hands that new supercharged prompt over to the foundation model to generate a really high-quality, accurate answer. That's it. Retrieve, augment, generate. Simple as that.
Now, I know what you might be thinking. This sounds kind of complicated to set up, but, and this is especially important if you're studying for any AWS certs, this is exactly where a service like Amazon Bedrock comes in. It's literally designed to make this whole process seamless. You just point it to your data sitting in an S3 bucket, and Bedrock takes care of all the heavy lifting, creating the knowledge base, managing that whole retrieve, augment, generate workflow, the works.
All right, so we've got the mechanics down. That's the how. But where does this technology actually, make a difference? Let's pivot from the how to the where and look at some practical, real-world business applications. This tech is just incredibly versatile. Think about customer support. It means your chatbot can give a super precise answer from the very latest company FAQs instead of that useless, generic, I don't know. Or for an engineering team, it means they can instantly find some tiny material spec that's buried in thousands of pages of technical manuals. And what about a business analyst? They can just ask a question and get a summary of market trends from last quarter, pulling directly from internal databases. That's a task that used to take hours, now done in seconds. And really, all of those examples point to one ultimate goal, which this quote just nails perfectly. RAG is all about making sure the AI's responses are up to date, they're aware of the context, and they're just way more accurate. It's about grounding the AI in your reality. Okay, let's pull all of this together. And hey, if you're prepping for an AWS certification, you're going to want to pay close attention here. Think of this as your essential cheat sheet. Let's really lock in the most important takeaways. So for that exam, here are the 4 things you've got to remember. First, RAG is a 2-step dance. It retrieves the data, then it generates the answer. Got it? Second, none of this is possible without a knowledge base. That's the model's external brain. Third, in the AWS world, you need to connect RAG with Amazon Bedrock. That's the service that makes it all easy. And finally, never forget the why.
The whole point is to get more accurate, context-aware responses. So let's end on this thought. When you boil it all down, Rhea G is really about giving your AI its own private, curated library to read from. So the only question left for you is, what's the first, most important book you'd want your AI to read?